Hello everyone, my name is Dallas Polk, and today we're going to be talking about the economic machine, but more importantly, how it works. All right, these are going to be your learning objectives. Primary things you need to take away: Ray Dalio, who he is and why he's important, productivity growth, short-term debt cycle, and the long-term debt cycle. These are the three components that make up the economic machine. All right, Ray Dalio. Who is he? You look at someone like this, bam, what do you think? Billionaire? That's because he is. Now, all these points, don't worry about that. The thing you need to take away from Ray Dalio is he is one of the world's greatest investors. When you think of greatest investors, you think of who? Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. He is up there with one of them. He owns one of the world's largest hedge funds. Why is this important? What is a hedge fund? In simple terms, you give me money, I make you money, I make money, we all make money, all right? That's what it's all about, controlling assets and making more people money. And he is one of the greatest of all time. Another thing, he graduated from Harvard in 1973, MBA, Master's Business. Also is taking classes on investment management. He knows what he's talking about. These are the three sources from which I pulled on. This is Ray Dalio dealing with changes in the world order. Principles by Ray Dalio, talked about not only principles for the human life, but also principles in the economy and how that affects, and the big debt crisis, where he talks about influxes of debt within countries and economies. All right, let's get it. First thing we're going to talk about is the productivity growth indicator. The productivity growth is a long-term indicator for economic growth. But Dallas, why? That goes to this. Technology, because your productivity growth increases with technological growth. Now, why is that important? More technology means what? People are more efficient. We can get things faster. Cost of labor goes down. Things are cheaper. That increases what? Productivity, which is why, as you see right here, it goes up over time. As human beings are always increasing, we're always have technological innovation. Thing you need to know about this, and this is important, is independent from cyclical debt influences. What does this mean? In short terms, it's independent of when people are borrowing money and they can't pay it back. Not only people, but also nations, governments, and organizations. It doesn't matter. Why is this? It's because no matter if there is a debt crisis or if a nation falls, people all around the world are always innovating, and innovation doesn't stop. Short-term debt cycle. This is going to be your next phase. So the time span between the short-term debt cycle is around 5 to 8 years. Who can guess why? Every what? 5 to 8 years. Does anyone know why? Because around 4 to every 8 years we have what? Presidents, elections. What do? They influence monetary policy and fiscal policy by what they believe is right for the country, which will influence what central banks do, which will influence what people do. Now, in between the short-term debt cycles, while the president and all the banks are doing their adjustment rates, depending on what the guy upstairs wants to do, not the guy upstairs, but the guy in the Oval Office decides to do, debt increases. Why does debt increase? Who thinks? Because credit increases. The new president's like, hey, look, one thing I need to do so I can get elected is have a strong economy. So with that, interest rates tend to get lowered. He does a nice stimulus package, and next thing you know, people are like, oh my gosh, we can have all this money. Banks are like, look, president came down with a new policy, we're going to lower interest rates. You lower down the interest rates, more people spy more with credit, or they ask for more loans. Why? Because the interest rate is lower, which means they have to pay less over time, which means people are now spending more, and that keeps the economy going. More debt is good because more debt means more money being put into the economy, and banks love issuing out debt because that means they can make a lot of money. Now this in the short term is good because the economy goes up. I'm going to explain this later, but just keep that in mind. This is 5 to 8 year intervals. Now you have the long-term debt cycle. This is where things come crashing down. Now, this is in time span between 75 to 100 years. If you had to guess, that's the average human lifespan. But this is when the markets become unstable. Why? Because, as we said last slide, 5 to 8 years, everyone's getting more debt, the interest rates are low, people are spending more. But the problem is people are buying more. No, not people. People are borrowing more. And banks are giving out more than they probably should, which is why you have bank failures. Because they're giving out too many loans and times are good. So people are like, I'm just going to buy, I'm going to spend, and I'm going to spend because the interest rates are low. But over time, what happens is people don't pay off those debts. Because when the interest rates are low, it takes a long time to pay them off. So then after a while, the economy doesn't start to do so good, say you might have a black swan event, which is an unexpected event, which could be COVID, something blows up, or a war, people are like, oh, okay, we need this money back. And everyone's like, well, I don't have the money. And the banks are like, well, we need the money back, so look, if you can't give me all now, I'm gonna increase your monthly payments. So now interest rates go up. What happens when you're used to paying, say, a 1% interest rate, now it's 5% interest rate, now it's a 6% interest rate. People now can't take loans, the economy slows down because people are spending less because now they have to spend more just on the interest payments alone, and this causes the economy to essentially almost break because no one has any money to spend and the bank can't get their money back. Things become slow down. Remember, the more money that's in the economy, the more the economy grows. This then we turn into a deleveraging. Banks like, okay, what are we gonna do? Interest rates, first thing they're gonna do is interest rates are gonna go to zero. They're like, look, I don't even care about the interest anymore, just pay me my money back. That's the first thing a bank could do. The second thing a bank could do is say, you know what? I don't even care about the money. Look, just you pay me half of it back. That's the second thing a bank would do. Communist countries tend to say, you know what? The rich people have all this, poor people don't, we'll redistribute the wealth. That doesn't really work out, but it can happen. Or, as we've seen before, the government prints money. We're gonna print more money, they pay off all the debt, but that just kicks the can down the road. So the deleveraging is what happens when no one has the money to pay it back, so the government tries to do things to get their money back. Conclusion, what did we go over? Ray Dalio, world's largest hedge fund. He's where I got my sources from of the 3 books that were titled below. Productivity growth, increases with technology, indicator of economic growth. Short-term debt cycles, 5 to 8 year intervals, and when this happens, debt increases along with credit lines, stimulating the economy. Long-term debt cycles, 75 to 100 year intervals. Deleveraging typically happens to sort of restart the economy, get all their money back. Why is this important? You all are forced to be in a market. You have to understand why interest rates go up and down, because the big purchases that you'll make are what? Say buying a house or getting a car. I'd rather you get a car at a 1 to 2% interest rate than a 6% interest rate. That's me putting it in simple terms. I hope you enjoyed this PowerPoint, and that's how the economic machine works. Thank you.